while they were at the restaurant, it just felt like, they were, visitors. And it's only later on that I kind of felt completely overwhelmed. They came into a restaurant. This is unprecedented. Never have they come to a restaurant, and they came into a kitchen. So from 7 o'clock in the morning, we had security in our place, the dogs checking everything. So it was just too much was going on. I really felt the impact after they left.
It's not every day that the King of England, or in fact the Queen, walk into a restaurant. So what exactly went behind them choosing Darjeeling Express?
I still don't know. It's not that I approached them or that I invited them. I wouldn't even think, you go and invite the king if you've seen the king in some other restaurant. But I've never seen him or his mother and the queen in a restaurant before. So it was something very unusual. Would not be interested in food, but food is the universal language of love. We should never use food to divide people. And I think that was the exciting thing.
Joining me is restaurateur Asma Khan. Asma, thanks so much for speaking to me. Let me start by asking you, how did you feel about the visit of King and Queen to your restaurant?
While they were at the restaurant, it just felt like, they were, visitors. And it's only later on that I kind of felt completely overwhelmed that they had actually come. Until the arrival of the King and Queen, there were so many security issues, trying to make sure that everything was safe, that everything was, they came into a restaurant. This is unprecedented. Never have they come to a restaurant, and they came into a kitchen. So from 7 o'clock in the morning, we had security in our place, the dogs checking everything. So it was just too much was going on. I really felt the impact after they left. And then it was overwhelming. I could not believe that they had come to my restaurant.
It's not every day that the King of England, or in fact the Queen, walk into a restaurant. So what exactly went behind them choosing Darjeeling Express?
I still don't know. It's not that I approached them or that I invited them. I wouldn't even think, you go and invite the king if you've seen the king in some other restaurant. But I've never seen him or his mother and the queen in a restaurant before. So it was something very unusual. And when they told me that I could invite, some guests to that event, I decided to invite, really interesting women who are Muslim, but who are artists, rugby players, really doing exciting things, painters. Someone's writes a crime thriller. So really kind of looking at a kind of broad range, because, we are often, when people look at Muslim women, they kind of think that this is, that we are not so creative, that we're being controlled, especially if you wear a hijab. So a lot of the women who came to that event with the king wore hijab, and one of them is a rugby player. She's got gold teeth. Obviously, she's broken her teeth. And the king loved talking to her about, how she felt playing, what her position was. The king was telling her which position he played rugby in. He was just so nice. He was so wonderful, so warm, and so loving. Literally, I had to pull him from one to the other because he was just standing and talking to everyone for too long. I had to literally take him from one place to another because he was just excited. The queen went in to start packing the biryani. He was still talking outside. So she came out and said, "Charles, come in." He had to go back in to help with the biryani. It was just lovely.
Did they have any feedback or any views about the Indian food that you served to them?
Yes, I made, very Calcutta style chicken biryani, and he was very fascinated by it. It was a short visit, so they had asked for all the food to be given to take away. So I sent them momos, tangra prawns, all the kind of food that we have in the restaurant. Everything was sent, including papa doi. The king was fascinated by the shahi tukra. So when he started asking me questions about the shahi tukra, I told him that I've sent it with you. So he was quite happy. And when I gifted him my book, Monsoon, I told him I don't expect you to cook from it. He said, yes, but I'm going to eat from it. He was really interested, asked really interesting questions about the food, the rice. And I just think it's, great because I feel that often you think that people who are like in his position or would not be interested in food, but food is the universal language of love. We should never use food to divide people. And I think that that was the exciting thing. And I've been working a lot of kind of doing television series on food. There's one called Tiffin Stories, which is coming out in India soon, where I've talked to some really interesting people about food. You understand when you talk to people, the moment food is a great leveler. So for Tiffin Stories, I met some really very big superstars. But the moment they started talking about food, they became like a child. And I think that the king as well, he was childlike. He was laughing and was giggling, when he was kind of packing the dates because he was really fast. And my mistake to think that the king would just do a few. No, he came to pack a lot of the dates. I was scrambling because I was so slow because they were just so fast. And I think that, this is the one thing that unites us. I feel very privileged to be where I am, that this becomes a home for everybody. People come here to eat, but also people come to understand about my people. They understand India when they come to this restaurant because Indian food tells its own story.
Which brings me to ask you, what about the Indian women, their role in British society? How much do you think that has improved and how important are they now in British society?
Definitely, you see a lot more South Asian Indian women in positions of power. In fact, one of the women who I invited is the head of the CEO of Accenture, which is a really big company for UK and Ireland. So you find women now in positions of great power. And I think that, we do need to now work together to kind of help. There is a marginalized part of our community, women who have come in and are in very, haven't learned the language, haven't settled in. I think we still need to help that generation of women who were left out, who came before, the internet and the mobile phones. And I think that that's still, we need to do a lot more, but I can see Indian women, Indian culture, Indian food everywhere. And I'm so proud of that.
And Asma, finally, let me ask you, what's your next goal as a chef from here on?
I think I would like to make our food more accessible. I want to come up with an idea where, because you find, grab and go everywhere, where you can just go in and pick up something in this country, but you never find really high quality Indian food. So I think that's the next thing I want to do, is to actually have a kind of outlet, a different kind of business, but really, again, using a lot more women to produce this food. And, we just the simplest of things, chai and samosa, beats any kind of thing you can get in King's Cross Station today. And, we are not there. We're not there. Indian food needs to go into spaces where we're not there. And right now, I think that on this, we need to actually kind of come up with greater ideas of actually involving more women in food, because it still is a very male-dominated business.
All right, Asma Khan, thanks so much for speaking to me on NDTV, and wish you the very best from here on.
The Lord Mayor of London is a remarkable role. The Lord Mayor is the global ambassador for the United Kingdom's financial, professional, legal and maritime services. Represent 2.4 million people in the United Kingdom, which is 1 in 13 of the workforce, and responsible for about 14% of GDP. So it's a very substantial sector of the UK economy. I've been meeting business leaders, of the very top business leaders. I've been meeting the head of the Stock Exchange, of SEBI, of the Reserve Bank of India. And I think really my job has been to try and talk about where are the opportunities that are for British businesses trying to do business here, more business here in India, and also where are the opportunities for Indian businesses to invest into the United Kingdom. To talk about the opportunities there. But certainly we've been talking about deregulation, we've been talking about the opportunities to allow new businesses to come in. We've also been talking about the changes that have just occurred in the Indian budget recently. For instance, allowing insurance companies to go from 74% up to 100%.
Hello everyone, welcome to the special interview session. I have a special guest with me, Lord Mayor of London, Alistair King. Thank you for joining us on this important discussion. You have been meeting thought leaders, financial industries, several from business sector as well. Take us through your meetings and what your key takeaways from these meetings have been.
The Lord Mayor of London is a remarkable role. The Lord Mayor is the global ambassador for the United Kingdom's financial, professional, legal and maritime services. Represent 2.4 million people in the United Kingdom, which is 1 in 13 of the workforce, and responsible for about 14% of GDP. So it's a very substantial sector of the UK economy. I've been meeting business leaders, of the very top business leaders. I've been meeting the head of the stock exchange, of SEBI, of the Reserve Bank of India. And I think really my job has been to try and talk about where are the opportunities that are for British businesses trying to do business here, more business here in India, and also where are the opportunities for Indian businesses to invest into the United Kingdom.
All right. Also, the UK-India trading relationship is valued at £41 billion annually, approximately. So in light of recent global, trade tensions, how do you sort of envision the partnership between India and UK sort of evolving? And what are the strategies to sort of mitigate some of the challenges as well? What are some of the strategies to enhance financial cooperation and collaboration between the two countries?
I think there are enormous opportunities to grow the relationship, financial relationship between India and the United Kingdom. We have remarkably sort of strong links between the two countries. We've also have some great examples of investment both ways, from India into the United Kingdom and also United Kingdom into India. We've got some very famous companies doing that, and many examples of that. But I think we certainly, from the United Kingdom point of view, we've been a little bit less adventurous in relation to going to remarkable developing and high growth markets such as India. And I think part of my role is to encourage British businesses to go and look at the extraordinary opportunity in India, growing at 6.5%, and just saying, here are the opportunities, go and take them.
And I'd like to know more about your Growth Unleashed mayoral theme. What does it entail? I mean, it's obviously about mutual investment. So what initiatives are being introduced for perhaps UK businesses to invest in India? How are you planning to encourage more UK businesses to invest in India, and vice versa, for Indian businesses to sort of see UK as a market? So take us through this entire initiative, which is Growth Unleashed.
The premise is the fact that financial and professional services, legal services and maritime services, that's where the growth is going to come from in the United Kingdom in the early years of this new government. Because the building's already built, the people are already trained, the regulatory system is not perfect, but it's world class. The missing ingredient is confidence. And so I'm trying to instill confidence into British businesses to go off to remarkable dynamic markets such as India. So what measures can I do to install more confidence? It's by leading by example, to go and see some of the remarkable business people here in India and try and work out new ways of doing business together. And I think also seeing those businesses talking about the foreign direct investment opportunities into the United Kingdom. So it's a two-way process.
Right. And also I'd like to ask about the recent announcement of reciprocal tariff by the US. That has been seen by many as a disadvantage as far as, the business scheme of things are concerned. How might such policies really influence UK-India business dynamics? And what kind of strategies do you think, your country must develop, that India must develop to mitigate some of these challenges as a result of this policy?
Well, the United Kingdom is famously a very open economy, and we put great store by continuing to be an open economy. Certainly when it comes to potential tariffs from the United States against the United Kingdom, we're a service-led economy, 80% services. It's much more difficult to put tariffs onto services than it is on the trading of goods. And so I sense that we may escape the worst of the tariffs in the United Kingdom ourselves. And I think in relation to India, let's see what actually transpires rather than the rhetoric. But I just think the relationship between India and the United Kingdom is extremely strong. And also there are, though there may be some obstacles put in the way, I'm absolutely sure that the desire to do business will overcome.
You're saying these tariff policy may not affect at all as far as Indo-UK relations or?
Let's see what actually transpires exactly, because I think that there's a lot of speculation out there and many rumours and all the rest of it. But let's see what transpires, and then we'll deal with the with whatever is the actual situation rather than what might be.
All right. And also in your discussions with financial institutions, I believe you went to the RBI, you went to SEBI,
Yes.
you've spoken to several financial institutions.
Yes.
What regulatory challenges have been identified that might hinder bilateral trade?
Well, I think it's certainly better. The business environment here is better than when I first came to do business here in India some 15 years ago. So it is wonderful to see the improvements that have been made, and so I can certainly report back to British businesses in financial, professional, legal, and maritime services to talk about the opportunities there. But certainly we've been talking about deregulation. We've been talking about the opportunities to allow new businesses to come in. We've also been talking about the changes that have just occurred in the Indian budget recently. For instance, allowing insurance companies to go from 74% up to 100%. London has the strongest insurance centre in the world, and so therefore that'll be of enormous interest to British insurance companies, and I will certainly be encouraging them to do more business in India.
Right, you spoke about insurance sector. Now, as far as innovation and fintech are concerned, they are of course pivotal as far as the business world goes. But how do you assess the current collaboration between UK and India in the fintech domain, and what do you foresee in the future? Because it is an up and coming domain.
That's right. It's both the United Kingdom and India have extremely impressive fintech businesses. Really, really world-beating businesses, and I think that the opportunity to collaborate is there. And I think what I'm saying to Indian fintech businesses is, when you want to internationalize your operation, then London is the obvious place to come. It has all the regulatory certainties, and it has a well-trodden path in relation to developing fintech businesses. And I think there are very attractive elements. But also the same message for British fintech companies. India is an incredible growing market, all sorts of opportunities out there. We've seen some good examples of British fintech businesses succeed here in India, and I'd like to encourage more to go off and do that.
So there's a lot in common between London and Mumbai.
Yes.
You have had meetings with British businesses who are operating in Mumbai. So what are some of the challenges that they told you about? What common barriers have been highlighted by several of these businesses, and how do you plan to sort of overcome them, or how do you see them overcoming some of the barriers when they operate their businesses in Mumbai? You are one of those. You have operated your business in the city.
Right. Well, I think that what has been very interesting is speaking to the British businesses about what opportunities does Gift City give to British financial businesses. That's something that's happened since I was doing business here in Mumbai. I think that therefore those sorts of innovative business structures, how can they take advantage of those and sort of build their businesses through that route. I think also the changes in the budget. How can they again take advantage of that? We would talk to a British insurance two British insurance operations. Again, talking about the changes there. So I think that's interesting. And I think just sort of are there any ways in which we can sort of lobby Indian government to make some further changes, because that's we want to promote the success of British financial and professional services businesses around the world.
You're here as the Lord Mayor of London,
yes.
But earlier in Mumbai you had set up your business.
That's right.
So I'm sure there is a difference in the business scheme of things, in the general atmosphere as far as setting up of business is concerned. So what difference do you see? I believe you were here in 2015?
So I think from about 2008 through to 2015, that's right. And look, I very much enjoyed myself. We had 11 joint ventures around India, so I much enjoyed going to visit those joint ventures and working out the best strategy for those investments. But I think it was it's certainly. I think there's been a considerable improvement on the ease of doing business. Some of the licenses, permits and consents that we required then are no longer required now. And I think also it's a little bit easier to get around India than it was when I first started.
So looking ahead, what is your vision for UK-India relationship, perhaps in the next decade or so? And given the challenges, how do you plan to navigate some of the challenges, potential geopolitical and economic challenges as far as the trade between the two countries are concerned? Your vision, your 10-year vision perhaps for
absolutely.
the collaboration.
I very much believe in the extraordinary India growth story. I mean, it is quite remarkable. I've seen it, at first hand, and I think that there's very much I buy into the possibility of the Indian century. Sort of coming up, how India will develop and will grow. And I think part of my role as Lord Mayor is to celebrate the opportunity that London can play in that Indian growth story, because effectively we've got so many of the skills and so many of much of the expertise that India may require in order to build that. And so therefore I'm doing a series of events in London to celebrate the remarkable Indian growth story and the place that London can, or the part that London can play in that growth story.
So when you say remarkable Indian growth story, what does it entail? What do you think are the biggest sort of strong points of India? Is it the skill? Is it the fact that, is it the talent and the skill? Is it the education? Is it the population itself? The fact that, every year there are more skilled people that come out of India. So what is the great Indian growth story?
Well, I think it's many parts of exactly what you've said. Certainly the remarkable talent and the education of the people, the number. It's an extraordinary thing. But I think the only thing you've missed, I think also, is the remarkable ambition that so many Indian sort of people and business people possess. This great desire to succeed and to beat the world. And I just think that's fabulous. And I would very much like London to make sure they're playing a really strong part in part of that ambition.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So that was the Lord Mayor of London, who spoke extensively on his vision as far as Indo-UK collaboration is concerned. Thank you for giving us all the insights into it. Yeah. And hopefully we look forward to see how these partnerships really grow. Thank you for joining us on NDTV.
Thank you very much indeed.